Welcome back to Break Free. I'm Kristen Shea, and today we are diving into fear. Fear is a massive collective emotion that is holding so many people back from experiencing what we came here to experience. And here's the thing about fear. Whatever you desire to have, whether this be love and connection or money, success, whether it's overcoming the fear of being seen, sharing your gifts, your value, your knowledge with the world, starting the business, whatever it is, fear is present in your life somewhere. And the thing that you desire is going to require you to overcome your greatest fears. And the tricky part is the fear you overcome may not even directly be related to the thing that you want to experience. And that's how tricky fear can be, but it exists for everybody in the collective. It exists for every person on this planet because it is something we carry within ourselves, but it's also like a program in this matrix that is beamed to us. And that's what I want to peel back the layers on today is I want to dive into fear. What is fear? Where does it come from? How does it develop? Talk about the different pathways in which it can exist. And then I want to share with you the blueprint that I use with myself and all of my clients to break free from fear. So this is my break free blueprint because everything that I create is with the intention to help you break free from whatever is holding you back from what you came to experience and share and create in this world. So in this episode, my intention is to help you take back the power that you have given this fear, because when we peel back the layer, the veil of this fear, and you understand what fear is, where it comes from, how it developed, and the process in order to break free from it, you immediately take the power of fear away. And when you actually start to face whatever this fear is for you, not only do you take its power away, it starts to shrink. Fear feels really big when we're not looking at it, when we're not willing to face it, when we're not willing to peel back those layers, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger the longer we avoid it. The moment we start to look at fear is the moment that fear begins to shrink. And the moment we start to face it directly and look at where did this come from, what has created this, and how can I start to break free from whatever that is, the fear gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it doesn't exist anymore. And so that is the intention of this episode. I'm going to show you how to do all of this and peel back these layers. So if you want to navigate this experience with whatever fear is holding you back, you can start to implement that. This is why I'm so passionate about teaching people visibility and how to overcome the fear of being seen, because the fear of being seen is the fear of being yourself. And when we're not ourselves, we lack our own authentic identity and we are molding and shape-shifting to be what the world wants us to be. And so we suppress ourselves, we limit ourselves, which limits everything that we can experience, the love, the abundance, the joy, the freedom, all of those things. And so when you go through the visibility journey, authentic visibility, not just the visibility, it has to be your true authentic soul self. When you go through an authentic visibility journey, it actually requires you to look at all of your fears. And again, when you do that, you realize they're not that big and that they don't have as much power over you as you think they do because you haven't been looking at them. So again, it's taking the power away, and through visibility, that journey will clear out every program. It clears out every limited belief that you've ever carried about yourself in the world, and it starts to peel back all of these different wounds that you've been holding on. And as you go through that journey, you unlock so much of your soul's natural essence that you're here to experience. And then when you unlock that, you're no longer a vibrational match to things like fear, to things like shame or guilt or these heavy vibrational emotions. So this is why when I teach, everything I teach is about becoming your authentic self. And that's why I want to address fear today, because it is one of the biggest things that prevents people from addressing this journey, from even starting it. And there is a big, beautiful squirrel right outside my window right now. That's what I keep getting distracted and looking at. So a squirrel might be a totem animal that you might want to look into, because everything is a synchronicity and a sign, or it might just be a synchronicity for someone specific watching this video. So let's dive in. I have lots of notes that I want to run through, and I'm just going to kind of riff on what I want to talk about for fear today. So let's dive into why people avoid facing the fear. So often it's because we literally don't know how. We are not taught in our society or our system to face our fears. We're taught to comply. We're taught to follow the rules and do what society or our parents or cultures or anything outside of us want us to do. Facing fear is not what they want us to do. And so when we get to this place where we feel stuck and stagnant, we're often in a looping pattern, it's because we're not facing a fear. And often that's because we don't know how, right? And so I know for myself in personal experience, I was on a deep healing journey. I was on a very spiritual journey for years. And yet there were so many fears I hadn't faced. Some of them because I didn't even know how, some of them because I couldn't even totally identify the fear that was holding me back, and some of them because it just felt so big. So often you don't know how to face the fear, and so we just don't do it. However, the moment you decide to face the fear, I promise you, God, source, spirit, whoever you align to will immediately put the resource in front of you that you need. Sometimes it's going to be a video like this video. Sometimes it's going to be the right healer, the right coach. Sometimes it's going to be the right person says something to you at the grocery store. There will be something that is put on your path to help guide you. The second you decide, I'm ready to face my fears, whatever they are. Or maybe you know the fear. I'm ready to face this specific fear. Show me the way. The divine support that will show up for you when you make a decision is so powerful. So if you have whatever fears that's specific to you and this outcome that you want, just ask for the help. God, source, spirit, I am ready to face my fears. I'm ready to face this specific fear. Please show me the way. Please guide me. Please put the right person on my path. And just know and trust that that's going to happen. Okay, number two, we often think facing our fear means taking the really big step that we're most afraid to take, right? So this could be leaving the relationship, the toxic relationship, the person, leaving the corporate job. This can be posting the content, whatever it is for you that you're wanting to experience, or whatever it is that you're trying to move toward, or a pattern you're stuck in. Often you're looking at like the big thing that you have to do. But here's the thing, that's actually the very last step in the process. The first step is to identify the fears that are blocking you from that thing, right? So there's this big fear. Let's look at content. There's this big fear around posting content, a big fear around being seen. However, that's the last step that we're actually going to look at when we want to tackle this fear. We need to go back to the wounds, the programs, the experiences, the ancestral programming, all of those things, and start the work there. When we start to clear that, we clear the wounds and the childhood experiences that took place. We clear the societal programming, the matrix programming. We go back and clear the ancestral and past life programming. We go through and clear and we rewrite your beliefs, then we look at taking that step. So you're so far away from having to take that step, yet that step is the thing that's stopping you from even starting the process. So that's often a big block, is because we're so fixated on the big action that we need to take. I know this was a big block for me, but I also know it kept me so stuck until I decided I'm willing to look at whatever this fear is, and I'm willing to take one step towards it, even if it's not the big step. So just know that, like, whatever that big thing is for you, you're not being asked to take that tomorrow just by facing this fear. You're being asked to take a look at this from a much larger, zoomed out perspective to get to the root causes of what's going on. And it's never as hard as we think it is. It just, again, when we won't look at it, it feels really difficult. Number three, we are trying to manifest our way out of it. And I see this so often. Manifestation is a very powerful tool, and it's meant for us to be using it. However, it's not meant for us to avoid or bypass the actual soul healing process we came here to do, because you can manifest money, you can manifest love, you can manifest all of these things for sure. But if you're holding all of these fears and these woundings, you won't be able to hold the thing that you manifest. And I see this all the time where people will manifest something in, right? So they get the money, they get the love, whatever, they can't hold it. So it's a fleeting moment. Or they get that thing and it doesn't fulfill them because they're still carrying all these wounds. So what they thought the money or the love would do doesn't do. The other side of this is I see a lot of people get stuck in a manifestation loop where they are just trying to manifest over and over and over and over and over again. And that's their survival mechanism, versus when it's their survival mechanism versus what manifestation was supposed to be. And I'm not going to get too far into this in this episode. I might do another one on it. I do have some things on Instagram and TikTok where I talk more about this. But when you are just manifesting out of survival, that's like a form of spiritual warfare, because that keeps you stuck in a loop. So you are constantly trying to project something out into your reality just to survive, and you're avoiding all of the things that you're actually supposed to be doing. On a soul level, we came here for a certain experience, and it's not to like quickly manifest money or quickly manifest this thing that we want, right? And be projecting something into our reality. It's to go within, it's to heal and liberate ourselves on a soul level. Our job in this world, in this planet, is to become our authentic soul level selves and express it into the world. And when you do that, you don't have to manifest. You think of one thing that you desire, you have that one thought, and it's just created in your experience. Yet there's so many teachings out there that will have you visualizing for hours a day. It'll have you just in meditation, visualization, trying to tap into this feeling. Those things do work. I'm not saying they don't work. However, it bypasses the process, right? And so again, when you're doing it from that place, you can get stuck in a loop where you either A, can't manifest the thing that you want, and you're trying over and over and over again. And that's exhausting and also just very like disheartening and discouraging. And then there's the other part where you get the thing, you can't hold on to it, or you get the thing and it doesn't fulfill you anyways. So don't try to manifest your way out of something. Again, it's a powerful tool, but it's a powerful tool when it's used in the right way, the way that it was intended, right? Okay, let's look at the next one. It's hard to look at it when you're doing it alone. Fear is a really powerful emotion when we've given so much power to it, which most of us have, because it's the program that exists in this collective. And to look at it on our own is incredibly challenging. It's not to say you can't do it. I actually did do it by myself. I didn't want to, but this is how I was guided in this journey. I now realize it was so I could channel in these methodologies that I've created and to share with the world and the collective to help others through this process. But we're not meant to be doing it alone. We're not. We're meant to be doing it in connection. And so there's all the things like, oh, when you're doing it with people, there's more accountability. You can rely on people. You'll show up more. You feel that sense of connection. You feel less I feel like it's less isolated, less like the black sheep when you realize other people are going through the same experience. But at the end of the day, what it truly is that it's a process you have to navigate the unknown. And if you don't have others there with you, you can get lost in that process. And so having someone to either guide you through this, whether that be a coach or a healer, I'm happy to guide you through it. I have a lot of programs on this, whether that be a friend, whether it be a community, whether it be a family member, like find someone that can help you with this because it can be really hard to navigate the unknown and you can also get lost in your head very easily and other programs and things can kind of like take over. So that's the other thing. Doing this alone is very, very challenging. Number five, many people think that safety and security exist outside of them. And that is what the system wants you to believe. So you think your safety and security comes from family, a partner, a job, a paycheck, a corporate structure, something that exists outside of you. And so you don't realize or understand just how powerful you are of a creator. And so often our safety and security is tied to abundance or connection. And when you think your abundance is coming from over here, you're not going to be willing to look at the fear that says, hey, you need to leave the job because you're like, well, that job is the only way I can get money. This is where money comes from, right? So often when we believe things are outside of ourselves, we're not able to look at the fear because we would have to disconnect from that belief system. And if we disconnect from that belief system, what will happen? You're in the unknown. So this kind of takes me back to the one I just said, where navigating the unknown by yourself can be really challenging. So I recommend doing it with someone else because you can get lost in that whole process, right? But when you're willing to look at the fear and be like, oh, you know what? I'm the creator of my abundance. Here's how I'm going to start creating my abundance. The first step is deprogramming myself from where abundance comes from that, oh, I have to have this corporate job, right? That can stop so many people from creating the business. And so when we have this belief that something is outside of ourselves, it can be very hard to be willing to look at this fear because, again, it's crossing that fear and then being in this unknown before the new belief system roots into its place and before you have some form of tangible proof. And again, this is kind of that thing where it's like, you may not even be willing to look at this because you're so afraid of leaving the job. It's not about leaving the job. It's about rewriting the programs and healing the fears. And when you do that, you will naturally leave the job because you will be able to create your own abundance. So often, because we believe it's outside of ourselves, we're looking at the big step we need to take, we're doing it alone, we're not able to manage or navigate overcoming our fears. And so we just stay stuck in this loop. And remember, if you are not facing your fears, you are making a decision to stay stuck because not making a decision, not taking action is actually a decision and it has an aligned outcome. So when you're choosing not to look at this or when you're not choosing to move forward in some way, you are choosing to stay stuck. And that's a really painful place to be. And I know that place all too well because I was there for most of my life. And the last reason is a lot of people want to control the process. So they're not willing to look at the fear because they only want to do it in one single way to control the outcome, right? Because they're so afraid of what will happen. So they're so afraid of even looking at the fear and wanting to control that process that they won't do it. So often when someone comes in, I'll see this with like, oh, I really want to post content or I really want to be seen, but I only want to do it in this way. And it's like, again, you're thinking about a big step that you need to take versus if you would let go of that control or this perceived way to do this and you go way back in the journey before this big step you feel you need to take and we get rid of the wounds and the programs, that control falls away because you start to find the safety and security within yourself. So these are the top reasons that I see people are unable to look at fear. Next, we're going to look at where these fears come from. So the first most obvious one is from your own firsthand experiences. And these often start in childhood. So this can be like as a child, you were bullied. So being yourself feels really scary, or perhaps you were abused. And so connection can feel really dangerous. This can also be like your family losing money. And so now money itself feels dangerous for you. And again, this can be both conscious and subconscious. So consciously, you could be like, I love money. I want more of money. But subconsciously, you've recorded all of these programs that say, well, if you have money, you'll probably lose it. Or if you have money, you're a bad person, or whatever programs or beliefs came in from your childhood experiences. And so the subconscious is actually what's blocking you. So these are firsthand experiences, often rooted in childhood. And then because in childhood you had these experiences and you started started having these vibrations in your energy field, those experiences begin to mimic throughout your adult life. So now you have all this proof as to why you should be afraid of this thing, which also makes it hard to face these fears. Number two is that fear is a program that is also beamed into us from the matrix, from the system, right? And so this can show up in social media, in TV, songs, anything where you're tapping into like a collective space or something basically just outside of yourself. So for example, if you're watching TV and somebody bungee jumps and they have a bad outcome, your subconscious is recording bungee jumping is scary. If you're watching reality TV, and there's always a villain in reality TV, right? So there's somebody that most people are against. You're now recording that it's dangerous to be different. Like all of these things are being beamed to us that say it is scary to be ourselves, that say being an entrepreneur is hard, that the spiritual path and healing is hard. And all of these programs are beamed to us. And so then we may not approach the entrepreneurial journey because we just keep hearing it's hard. We may not look at being different because we don't want to be the villain. We don't want to be the one that everybody is against. Like all of these programs, all of the time, are just beaming into our subconscious, telling us what it's safe to be and what it's not. And when you are not empowered and we're putting our power outside of ourselves, those things can be very true for you. And this is why in authentic visibility, it's about becoming yourself first before it ever is broadcasting it to the world. Because if you hold these beliefs that say being different is dangerous and you go out there and you post content, that will likely be your experience as something that reinforces that belief system. Versus if you start to take your power back and you understand how powerful you are as the creator, when you go out and post the content, you'll have a very different experience. So this is why I teach when we're looking at visibility, again, visibility and fear, it's all directly related, but when we're looking at it, we have to be willing to do the healing work behind it before taking the big leap. Otherwise, if you're operating from a place of scarcity, you're operating from a place of fear, you are just going to reinforce the experiences that you have already have versus becoming the creator and changing, like flipping the script, you're changing the narrative, right? So again, it's subconscious, it's also conscious, and it is being beamed into us everywhere we are going. So start to pay attention. Do you know how many people are afraid of getting canceled? They won't say anything because they're afraid of getting canceled. That holds so many people back. And when we look at getting canceled, of course, nobody wants to get canceled, but when you become unavailable to be canceled, that will not be a part of your experience. And when you understand what being canceled is and we start to rip away the fear of it, that might be something where you're like, oh, I guess I'm not as afraid of that as I thought. We can also look at many examples where people who were canceled, it actually catapulted their careers. Like there's so many different ways to look at these things, but you have to be willing to look at and face that fear. And again, it's not about posting the content or saying the thing you think is going to get you canceled. It's about going in and doing the healing work around whatever that belief system is, around whatever that experience is that you're afraid to have. Okay, next it can be from family expectations, cultural expectations, society. So society at large is telling us that to have a corporate standard job is like the safe route, right? So many people are afraid to leave their job. They're afraid to start their business. They're afraid to go down a less traditional path, right? So when people come in, they are dealing with not just societal, but family and cultural expectations on who they're supposed to be and how they're allowed to behave in society, in the world, in their family, in their homes. And so that is just repressing who they are as a person. And it makes it very scary because, oh, if I'm myself, if I do this thing, I could lose my family, my friends, my connection, my tribal security, essentially. So there's all these programs, again, that are being beamed at us. Then there's these family and societal expectations. Like everything is telling us not to be ourselves. And that is why I'm passionate about visibility, because I promise you an authentic visibility journey is going to clear every fear that you have. And number four, it can be from the collective shadow. If you're not familiar with what the collective shadow is, I want you to think about it as energy. So everything is energy, literally everything. It cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed. It simply exists and it can be transformed and manipulated and transcended and all of the things. You can change it, but you cannot destroy it. So if you think about the collective, and you think about the collective consciousness, not just the people in your world, but like literally our world, if you think about everybody and what their consciousness is, all of that exists in the quantum field. And so if you're tapping in onto collective fears, the collective shadow that says, don't be yourself, don't do anything different, don't start the business, don't go to this event because this might happen to you, like you're tapping into whatever is going on. You can take those on as your belief systems and not even realize it. But that can only happen if in your energy field, you're an energetic match to that belief system. So if you are living with a lot of fear, if you're living with a lot of shame, if you're living with a lot of guilt, those collective energies that are out there, you're a vibrational match for them. So you'll take on more fear, more shame, more guilt. That's not even yours, and you won't even realize it. So something you feel shameful about is going to become 100 times heavier because you're holding on to all this other shame. So in this process, the process that I teach, it's disconnecting from all of it, the collective shadow, including your own shadow, so that you can transcend and transmute this energy into something that actually works for you. Two of the biggest needs or desires on this planet is security and connection. And so these are often intertwined because these are the things that we hold on to and grip to and attach to in our experience. And so often for security, we associate money, and for connection, we associate being accepted. And so to be our true authentic selves becomes dangerous. But what we don't understand is that to become our most authentic version of ourselves is actually the most profitable thing that we can ever do. And it's how we access our birthright of abundance. This is why the system hopes that you never face your fears and that you refuse to look at them and you keep giving your power away to the fears so that you will stay stuck. Because if you're locked in your own invisible cage of all of these fears that you either refuse to look at or don't know how to look at, the system doesn't have to do anything to keep you stuck because you're going to keep yourself stuck. And that is, again, why I'm passionate about this authentic visibility journey, which involves looking at all of your fears, because I want you to just for a second imagine what it would be like if you didn't carry fear. Imagine what that would be like. What would be available to you if you weren't afraid? How would you go about life? How would you go about your career or your business or creating abundance? How would you go about creating in the world? How would you go about connecting with people? Like, if you did not carry fear, how would your life change? I want you to just envision that for a second. Like, that is a beautiful place to be, and it's possible for you. This is why I created the Break Free method, because when we go within, we liberate ourselves on a soul level and we become the creator of our reality, which means we're no longer stuck in fear, shame, guilt, anger cycles. We're no longer stuck in repeating loops or patterns. We break free so we can break through. Now I'm going to share with you the pillars of the Break Free method, which has helped so many walk through their biggest fears, like leaving the narcissistic dynamic, the toxic relationship, leaving the financial security of the relationship or the corporate job and starting their own business, creating their own abundance and financial security. The process of overcoming the fear of being seen and getting unapologetically visible. This process has been used to help so many people walk through their biggest fears to get them out of the loops and the patterns that hold them back. So I'm going to share with you these pillars so that if you are navigating this journey, you can start to do this yourself. As we dive in, it's important to remember that we are multidimensional. And so this process must be multidimensional. We have to tackle this from all areas. So the first thing we do is we start to look at the emotional wounds that you are carrying in your energy field. And if you have not yet seen one of my explanations on what that looks like, I'm going to put a link in the description and go look at it, because it will really open your eyes up to what your energy field is carrying and what you're attracting into your experience. But what we look at is the emotional field for the wounds that you're carrying. So this is like the really big low vibrational emotions that have the biggest impact on you. So shame, right? That's one of the biggest. Fear, guilt, resentment, anger, all of these big emotions that are there. And when we start to look at the emotions, we then can go and address all of the wounds that are attached to those emotions. So you might have 20 different experiences that are attached to shame. And we start to go back and we heal the parts of those experiences that imprinted shame into our energy field. So this is emotional healing, but this is going back a little bit further and looking at shame from a different perspective. So we're not just going back and healing one experience. We're looking at shame and we're looking at every experience that attached to it. And do you remember the beginning when I said sometimes the fear that you have to cross or overcome has nothing to do or isn't directly attached to the thing that you want to experience? These emotions can be the same way. So you may not consciously register what you have attached shame to. However, that shame is still in your field if in the subconscious level it's carried. So this is why we're doing the emotional healing, both on a conscious and subconscious level, to look at all of the emotions, the wounds, and the experiences that you are holding within your energy field. So as we start to look at all of these emotions that are in our energy field and we start to heal the subconscious and conscious experiences that we have attached to each of those emotions, our frequency, our vibration changes, which is what we're admitting into the world that is creating our reality. So often when I see clients doing this work, it's really cool because they start to have these amazing outcomes that they're not even taking action toward. So the random job offer or promotion comes out of nowhere, or their business just starts to take off, or they meet the love of their lives, like at a coffee shop, like things that they're not even intentionally going after. These are things that they desire to create and experience, but they're not intentionally working towards it. Like they don't go and apply for the job. They're not out there on the dating app. Like these things will just come in because they're doing the emotional work and their vibration and their frequency has changed, and your reality has no choice but to start to reflect that back to you. That's step one, and that's healing the emotional body. Step two is looking at the spiritual body, because again, this is a multidimensional healing process. process. So this is looking at like the ancestral programs that maybe you're carrying that aren't even yours to begin with. So if you've ever identified as being the generational curse breaker in your family, the change maker, the healer, the black sheep, this is for you because this is where you're probably carrying things that are not your own, but you came here as the one who could actually break these programs, these patterns, these behaviors, whatever it is for you in your lineage. These are things that have probably been at play for generations and lifetimes, but you're the one who came here to make the difference, to make the change. And so again, we're looking at what are you carrying that isn't even yours, and how do we start to heal that? This is where we look at your past lives. This is where we clear the Akashic records, and this is where we even look at spiritual warfare because it is real, and we have to stop pretending it's not or that it's some woo thing that's out there. It is real, and we can heal it and clear it. And in my Break Free program, I teach you how to do this stuff for yourself because I truly believe we should never rely on anything outside of ourselves and we should become our own healer. So number 3 is looking at the energy body because the body does keep score. And that is a great book that you should read to learn more about how your body will hold on to everything. But your nervous system, your fascia, your lymphatic system, all of your organs hold on to every experience that has ever happened. So we can clear it from the mental body, we can clear it from the emotional body, we can clear it spiritually. But if your body is still holding it, it will still be part of the frequency that's transmitted. And how does this show up in your reality? This can be like manifesting a ton of money, but you can't hold on to it because your body doesn't feel safe to have it. So the nervous system is still holding on to something that says, ooh, money is dangerous, visibility is dangerous, love is dangerous. And so we have to heal the body. And Louise Hay has a great book. I think it's called I Can Heal Myself, but just look up Louise Hay. She has a whole emotional coding chart. And so you can look up any physical ailment that you're having and see what emotion is attached to it. So for the liver, it's anger and resentment. For the ovaries, it's often your creativity. There's so many different things, like your knees are the fear of moving forward. Like there's so many things that will pinpoint you to emotions that are impacting that. Light workers, change makers, healers, the old souls, like those who came here to have a lot of impact, those who hold a lot of light, often have all these mystery illnesses, these chronic issues that come up. And often it's a part of the healing process because your body is just holding so much stuff. Some of it isn't even your own, right? Those ancestral generational programs that are in your DNA, all of these emotions that you think you've processed but are still living in the energetic field. So this is why this part is equally as important as the emotional healing aspect, because your body is always going to hold it and keep score. And it's always going to tell you either A, what you're not addressing, or what you've maybe addressed in one way, but you need to address in the body. So the body keeps score. You can heal yourself. There is an emotional code that you can look at, but the easiest way to do this is through somatic movement. So often if I'm processing an emotion, I might cry, I might journal, I might go really into this emotion in my emotional body, right? But then I go through it in my actual physical vessel. So whether that's doing a somatic practice, a shaking practice, a walking practice, like something to move the energy out of my body. And when I do that, then I'm fully, truly letting it go. And you can feel the difference when you do that. Nervous system work is also letting trapped emotions go in your body. So for women, our hips hold so many emotions and it holds so much trauma. So often in nervous system exercises or nervous system regulation, you will see that the hips are a big part of it. But there's so many somatic processes that will help you regulate your nervous system so that you can hold whatever it is that you want to call in, whether that be money or love or whatever it is for you. So again, we're healing the emotional body, the spiritual body, the energetic body. And number 4 is going to be the mental body. This is your thoughts, your beliefs, and the programs that you are operating off of. So this can be like healing all of the shame and the fear, but you still hold a belief system about money, about visibility. So maybe you're no longer afraid of visibility. Maybe you're no longer afraid of money, but you might hold beliefs like, oh, well, people who are famous do bad things, so I don't want to be famous. People who have a lot of money are bad, so I don't want to have a lot of money. Like those belief systems can still operate even when you've done all of that other healing work. So this is where we look at what are your belief systems. And I want you to think about this as like a program, right? A computer program, because again, this is why I'm so passionate about visibility, because when you do it, the authentic visibility, not just visibility, when you do authentic visibility the right way, you rewrite your entire computer program that you are operating off of, and it rewrites your entire reality to a dream that you didn't even know was possible. So again, in the break free method, the last one we're going to look at is the mental. So what belief systems, what thought patterns, what is going on in this mental computer program that's being projected into your reality, and how can we upgrade that to beliefs and programs that support you so that visibility being safe becomes the default, so that good people do good things when they have visibility. Good people do good things when they have money. We need more light workers with money in their hands. We need more light workers with visibility. Like that's what we actually need. And so when you rewrite this program, you rewrite these belief systems and these thoughts, you will immediately see that reflected in your reality. So we need to address all of these four different body types, right? Energetic, emotional, spiritual, and mental. And when you do that, you truly break yourself free from the matrix program. Remember that fear feels really big when we're refusing to look at it. But the moment we make that super powerful decision that says, I am ready to face my fears, I am ready to discover what my fears are, and I'm ready to walk this path, whatever it might be. I'm willing to take that next step. We immediately take our power back from that fear and it starts to begin to shrink itself. And when we go within into this healing process, we unlock our true identity. When we see who we are underneath the fear, underneath the shame, the guilt, all of these expectations and things that we have been carrying, when we unlock that true identity, we are unlocking our divinity. This is how you access the abundance that is your birthright. This is how you access God's kingdom that is within. Christ consciousness, all of these things lie within us. We can only discover them if we go within and we do this work. So this is the break free method that is in all of my work, whether you work with me one-to-one in my courses or in my community. This is the work that we do together because this is how you unplug from the matrix. And remember that all of your desires, the things that you want to experience, are placed upon your heart for a reason. That is your soul's blueprint, which is your soul speaking to you to guide you in this lifetime. There is nothing more powerful than understanding what your desires are. And when you access that authentic identity, that divinity within, all of those desires become immediately possible and they come into your reality. You don't have to project or create or do anything. The work is always to go within to create what you want to experience without. As within, so without. As above, so below, right? These are all the cosmic laws. So if you want to go through this journey with me, you can join any of my programs. And if you want to navigate this journey yourself, you absolutely can, because I've given you the 4 steps of this blueprint. And so you can go down the rabbit hole yourself. You can go down YouTube and TikTok and meditate, ask God, source, spirit, whoever you align to guide you in this process. And I promise you, if you are making the decision, I'm ready to face this fear, here is step 1. I need to look at the emotional body, show me how to do this. The resources are always provided to you. There's so much divine support when we make a decision, we ask, and we take the aligned action. So if that is you, this is the blueprint that I would follow, and you can absolutely go down this rabbit hole. If you want to do this with me, if you want to do this in a community so that you have all of the support, I have a beautiful Break Free and Be Seen community where we break free from every program that exists and we get you into your authentic identity so you can unapologetically share who you are with this world and do what you came here to do. So that is our episode on fear today. I hope it gave you a lot to think about, some different rabbit holes that you could go down. Maybe I'll even see you in the Break Free program. But either way, thank you so much for being here. And if you have questions, thoughts, or ideas on this, please leave them in the comments because I will come in and answer your questions. And if you have a request for another topic that you'd like me to dive into, leave it in the comments and it will be considered for the future videos.